Enroll your child for the manifested e-learning platform and see their grades grow tremendously. These videos can be downloaded to a laptop for offline viewing or viewed from a smartphone in a cost-friendly format.
Dear learner, welcome to Manifested e-learning. I'm your teacher, Conan Gakure. Today, we are going to learn history and government. That is our subject for today. History and government. And we are going to introduce the first topic, which is Introduction to History and Government. That is the topic we are going to look at. Introduction to history and government. So that is going to be the topic that we are going to be looking at as we during this lesson. We are just going to do an introduction, but that is the topic that we are going to do. So before we go to every other thing, I want us to look at an outline, just an outline, an overview of what we are going to be looking at when we talk about introduction to history and government. So the first thing that we are going to look at the meaning or definition. Meaning stroke definition. Definition of terms. And what terms are we talking about? We are talking about history and government. So we are going to define what is history. We are also going to define what is government. As we shall also look at, when we talk of history, we shall look at the also branches of history. We shall also look at periods in history. And then apart from looking at the branches and periods in history, we shall look at the forms and arms of government. Forms and arms of government. And my dear learner, here I want you to note, we are talking of forms and arms. Those are two different things, but we shall discuss them as we look at this topic, as we go on with this topic. And then we shall look at sources of information to history and government. So when you talk about sources of information to history and government, we shall find when you talk of history and government, where do they get information from? That is what we shall be discussing there. And then lastly, we shall look at the importance of studying history and government. So in this section, we shall interrogate what are the reasons or why is it important for us to study history and government. So my dear learner, for this specific lesson, I want you to be able to do the following. By the end of this lesson, I want you to be able to do the following. So let us look at the objectives of this specific lesson. We have just looked at the outline of the whole topic. But now for this specific lesson, my dear learner, I want you to be able to define the term history. That is one. And then number two, you should be able to define the term government. Should be able to define the term government. So, my dear learner, you might be asking yourself, you have heard of somebody asking or somebody telling, tell us a little bit about yourself, or tell us a history of yourself. Tell us history of this place. You might go to a place and you want to know about that place. What has been happening? When did the people start living there? That is what we are calling history. And then you might also be wondering, what is government? So that is what we are going to define in this lesson. So let us start with the first term. What is history? History. What is history? So my dear learner, can you be able to tell me what you understand by the term history? Can you give it a try? What is history? So history is a word that is derived. It is a word that has been derived from the Greek word. It is history is an English term, but it has been derived from a Greek word, historia. So history as we know it in English, it's an English word. But the original or the original source of the term history comes from a Greek word, which is known as historia. And what does historia mean in Greek, in the Greek language? It means an inquiry. It is an inquiry. An inquiry, which also means to ask. Or you can also say to find out. Find out. And then what do you do when you have found out about something or you have made an inquiry? You take, and then when you have inquired, you have asked questions, you have found out about something, you have to make a report. Make a report. I want to give you this example. Your mother has told you, go and find out if the animals, if for example you are having cows at home or you are having hen at home, your parent might ask you, go and find out if the animals have gone into their pen or they have gone where they are supposed to reside. So you have to go and find out whatever you have been asked to go and find out. And then you have to bring a report. You have to bring a report. So that is the term historia in Greek. So when you talk of historia, it means you have to go and make an inquiry. You have to go and find out specific details about a specific thing. And then you have to give a report of what you have found out. That is historia. So the term history is used to describe. So now I'm giving the definition of the word history because I've just looked at its original form in Greek language, meant inquiring, asking, and finding out. But now, what about now in English? What does the term history mean? So let us give a definition of the term history. So you can define the term history as a study. It is a study of, it is a study. That is the first thing. It is a study. You have to make a detailed inquiry. You have to make a detailed study. So it is a study of man's past events. It is a study of man's past event. So when you talk of history as a discipline, it involves studying the activities and events of human beings. So when you talk of man, it is a term that is used to refer to human beings. So it is both women and both women and men. So when you talk of man, it is both gender. It is not just the male species alone. We are talking about men and women. So what are we investigating, or what are we studying? We are studying the man's events in the past, and then in a chronological order. So you have to put the events that happened in a man's life or in human being's life in a chronological order. When you talk of chronology, you have to talk of one event happening after another event. That is what we call chronology. So if, my dear learner, you are asked to define what is history, you have to say it is a study, because it is a discipline. It is a study of man's past events in a chronological order. So in history, we have to put events in order. What happened first, and then what followed, and then until to where we are right now. That is history. So the important part of history you have to find out is that we have to put time on events. For example, if you are having the clothes that you are having on right now, does that mean that is how people or your parents were wearing the clothes you are having right now during their time? No, there has been development. So if you want to find out the history of what you are wearing right now, you have to look at who is the manufacturer of that cloth, when did they manufacture that cloth, until to what you are having right now. For example, you can ask yourself, today we are having various models of vehicles. We are having vehicles that can travel to very high speeds. We are having vehicles that can even travel both on land and even on water. Did we just come out of nowhere and then we have that vehicle? No, it started from somewhere. So if you want to find out the history of vehicles, so that becomes now what we are referring to as history. How did we come to what we are having right now? That is history. So my dear learner, I want you to take note of this. History is a study. Study of what? Events, man's past events, human beings' events. And then you put them in a chronological order, one after another. When you talk of history, it can also be used to refer to activities that have happened in the past. For example, we can say it is history that Eliud Kipchoge won a marathon in under 2 hours. That is an event that happened. So we can refer to that as history. So history can also be used to refer to an event that has already happened. For example, after the end of this lesson, it shall be history, because we shall already have happened or have gone through that lesson. That becomes history. So, my dear learner, I want us to move a point further and look at the next term, the term government. The term government, that is our next term that we are going to look at. The term government. The term government. So, on the other hand, what does government mean? The term government comes from another word, which is known as govern, derived from the term govern. So the term government has been derived from the term govern. And what is to govern? To govern is simply to exercise authority. It means to exercise authority or power. It means to exercise authority or power. That is the term govern. So my dear learner, what do you think is the meaning or the definition of the word government? Because I've told you the word government is derived from the term govern. So what do you think is the meaning of the term government? So let us look at the definition. The definition of the term government. So a government, when you talk of a government, we are talking of a group of people. A group of people. It is a group of people. A government is a group of people. A group of people who do what? Who has been given power. Given power to do what? To control. To control the affairs of a given nation. Of a given nation. So we can also call a nation a state or a country. By the people of that country. So when you talk of government, my dear learner, we are saying it is a group of people. That is the first point that you need to capture when you are defining the term government. It is a group of people. So people who have come together to do what? And they have been given powers to control. They control and they have power to control the affairs of a given state or nation. So a group of people, they have come together. They have power to do what? To control the affairs of a nation, a specific nation. So they do not just operate anywhere. They have to operate within given confines. And where do they get this power? They get this power from the people of that nation. So when you talk of a government, it involves a group of people exercising power within a given nation or state or country. These mean the same thing, a nation, a state, or country. And they have, where do they get this power from? They are given power by the people. So come to Kenya, for example. In Kenya, we have a government which now we know as the Jubilee government. It is led by our president. They have power to make decisions on behalf of Kenyans. Where do they get this power? They get this power from the people, we who go to vote. Every adult registered citizen is given power to elect leaders into office. So that becomes a government. So a government cannot operate without the people allowing it to operate. And what is the purpose of a government? It is to control the affairs or to lead the affairs of that nation. A government operates within a specific boundary. That is a government. So my dear learner, if you are asked to define the term government. You have to mention it is a group of people who have or who exercise or who have power to control the affairs of a specific nation, a state, or a country. And where do they get this power from? From the people of that specific country. So a person from another country cannot just come and tell or organize the affairs of that country. It has to be the people within that state. So my dear learner, as we come to the end of this lesson, I want you to remember these two definitions that you are really going to be encountering them every now and then as you partake this course of history and government. What is history and what is government? So when you talk of history, my dear learner, I've told you, it is a study of man's past events in a chronological order. You have to put events one after the other. That becomes history. And then we have talked about government. So my dear learner, I want to give you a very quick question for you to revise as we come to the end of this lesson. So your revision question. Your revision question. So this is a question. Define the term, define the following terms. A, history. And then B, government. And I'm sure, my dear learners, as we have tackled it in this lesson, this question you are able to answer. So my dear learner, until our next lesson, it's bye-bye for now.